Two, one, roll tape. Get you that kung fu swing. All right, everyone. We got to talk about the 4th of July. Happy 4th of July to the United States of America and all Americans residing at home and abroad. Every red blooded, patriot, freedom loving, old glory toting American out there. Happy 4th of July, everyone. We've earned it. All right. It's been a long, hard road. But the idea of freedom and the Constitution of the United States still stands strong, even in the face of a dire, malignant enemy that would seek to usurp the hard earned freedoms of a citizenry in the great United States constitutional republic. It was a beacon for 224 plus 23, 24 plus 23, 47 years. 247 years. Let freedom ring. All right. Um, our country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty. Let freedom ring. So get your American flag. It's nighttime here, man, and Twilight Zone won't be king. So I'll throw on some light there so you're not alone in the dark. Let freedom ring from every mountainside. What does American freedom mean? It was a beacon of light to the world. The industriousness of a people could supersede the tyranny of systems that did not serve the people. It was the first throwing off of monarchy and tyranny and any form of enslavement over the minds of men. And it it spearheaded into a mission to make all people free, right? These shackles of tyranny thrown on by the old systems, the monarchies that sought to profit at the expense of enslaved peoples and indentured servants was old hat. Nobody liked it anymore. The robber barons didn't help the situations, right? But that came much later. Let's focus on the greatness of 1776. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, provide for the common welfare, and do ordain the Constitution for everyone to have the right to seek happiness in their own way. So look at how many rights are protected for people because of that great mission. And it started even, nigh 1,000 years ago with the Magna Carta and the British people even trying to gain a power balance between the average individual and the crown. And it was the inspiration for the forefathers, the greatest men maybe who ever lived: Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Samuel Adams, uh, John Hancock, the largest signature on the Constitution, right? These guys were giants, and they were at the transition point of like mythological giants and moving into an entirely new era of human freedom. Imagine that. The fireworks you hear today, guys, on the 4th of July, and the hot dogs you're enjoying on barbecue, and the burgers, all of that is the resounding triumph of overthrowing tyrannical leadership and establishing a better system. Probably the best system. Well, no, definitely, factually, the best system that's ever been implemented. And for anyone who doesn't agree with it that lives stateside, you can go other places. You can go, like, for example, I work in China. I've been over here for a couple of decades, and The only reason I'm able to do well and hang out is because they know I'm an American. I got that red, white, and blue flying on my passport. And it says right on the cover, by order of the Secretary of Transportation, United States Department of Justice, allow this freedom loving patriot of the United States to travel unhindered in all lands without due hassle or any type of concomitants. And it's because of our forefathers. My father fought in World War II, the Korean conflict. He was in through many battles. His battleship earned 13 silver stars. He enlisted when he was 15, right before the war. The ship he was on was a destroyer. What kind of class destroyer? I forget if I can remember. Um, can't remember right off the top of my head. But yeah, and served 20 plus years on that ship defending freedom worldwide, defending the Pacific Ocean. He trained fighters in China to overthrow the Japanese when they invaded this country. And so, there's been some mistakes along the way, certainly. But if we go back to that original pinning, what was it all about? And according to Benjamin Franklin's account, it was really about the printing press. The Boston Tea Party was the catalyst, the false flag that got it all started, but it was really about the spreading of wealth and education among the people of a new land, a land that when they came in was not doing much, just sitting fallow, and there were a few indigenous featherheads cruising around, but other than that, not a lot was going on. And so there was plenty of room for everyone to establish a new system of mutual support and self-reliance. And wow, what a journey it has been, huh? Right here at the crux of a situation like what we see right now with the leadership the way it is, it's even more imperative for every freedom loving American to embrace those ideals of 1776. Freedom of the printing press, right? Number one freedom, freedom of the press and freedom of speech. You should be able to engage in a free press, and journalism should be absolutely protected and encouraged. Number two, the right to defend your life against anyone who would seek to take it away from you. Right? The right to bear arms shall not be infringed. Really, it shouldn't be impeded in any way. There shouldn't be any type of infringement upon people's right to defend themselves and bear arms. And really, you got to take it one step further too. What was it enshrined as? It was a well-regulated militia in order to defend the values of America against the government itself, right? It's kind of the whole idea of that one has really been overturned. I mean, the reason the people keep arms is because they need to defend themselves against bad leadership. And that should always be at the forefront. Communities should always organize into well-regulated militias and stand in direct opposition to any kind of tyranny, especially by the feds. Those are the biggest troublemakers out there. Diane Lynn, hey, welcome to the chat. Good to see you, Diane. Happy 4th of July. You are in the States, is that correct, Diane Lynn? I'm not sure. I'm talking happy 4th of July here because I'm a freedom-loving American, a red-blooded freedom-loving American spouting off about the spirit of 1776 and all the way back to 1200, and I believe it's 1242 or 1243 when the Magna Carta kind of launched the whole freedom effort. And look at how long it took, right? Nearly 1,000 years, 800 years, little less, 700 something, almost 800 years. And well, not so much. If you think 1200 to 1776, that's 500. But 500 years to achieve a document of such eloquent representation of the love of freedom and all kinds of freedom, spiritual freedom, right? The freedom for religious expression, the freedom for privacy in your papers and communications, right to trial by a jury of your peers, all kinds of great things that had never, ever happened in the world before, right? They were enshrined. Thomas Jefferson wrote the bulk of it. Benjamin Franklin gave advice. George Washington was also present, right? He was a reluctant first president, from what I understand. He led the military in the American Revolution, and once they threw off the shackles of the crown, they finally had a land where they could start working towards freedom for all people. And that's really what it means, man. That's what the spirit of 1776 is all about. It's about self-reliance and all of the great freedoms that they put in the Bill of Rights. The first 13, in fact, are the most important. The first four, really. Well, I mean, they're cumulative. They build one on top of the other. If any one of the freedoms are infringed, then the whole thing is not in the spirit of what it's meant to be. So starting with number one, that freedom of press, freedom of speech. When we see big robber baron corporations that are federally funded, really, and all developed with public money, taxpayer research and development, and then they think my private company that they have the right to violate our first. They think they have the power to violate the first right in the Bill of Rights. It's shameful, and maybe there'll be a new charge to hold these people's feet to the fire. They should not be exempt. Corporate bodies are not individuals. Those that Bill of Rights and that Constitution is meant, and big bodies and institutions and corporations. I believe that's what the next amendment should be. That everyone who does business or holds an American passport or employs Americans or does commerce in America must be held to the same standard. They must uphold, these guys, they're headquartered, Alphabet Inc., they're headquartered in California. I forget the exact city, but they're in the United States. And therefore, all of their operations should be held to the same standard of freedom of speech, freedom of press for every individual, and privacy in our communications. They shouldn't be allowed to data scrape or use our private data in any way that violates the Constitution. It's unconstitutional. That's my opinion, and I think that's its original intent. I mean, a governing body or a large corporation, there is no real difference between them these days. They're not funded by individuals. Like Obama said, you didn't build that, right? These guys that have these large corporations and consider themselves to be CEOs or modern day robber barons, technocrats, they didn't build any of that. They didn't come up with those ideas. Those ideas were collectively, the operation of things far beyond a single individual. So happy 4th of July to you, Diane. Make sure, if you haven't, guys, to hit the thumbs up. Doesn't look like people have been wandering in and out, but nobody's hit the thumbs up. So do that if you would. Uh, Being so far away from home and in a foreign land, like a traveling uh, diplomat, a delegate to a foreign nation. Benjamin Franklin did it a lot. He was the ambassador to France. I believe he served at least 3 or 4 times. He spent quite a few number of years abroad, um, engaged in diplomacy with the French. They helped finance the American Revolution from the side of navy and money. They provided treasure in order to help America defeat the enemy, defeat the tyranny. So that's helpful. I've always thought that Benjamin Franklin's relationship with France, that there should be that type of thing should be enduring uh, throughout time. That when we make good with a country of providing greater protections for the people, for their people, and greater freedoms and the opportunity for everyone to pursue happiness and liberty. The United States flag, Old Glory as it's known, is one of the most beautiful flags of any nation ever flown. Uh, the story of George Washington's wife, Martha, sewing the flag from hemp. I've heard that some of that was not entirely accurate, but I mean, there's some sort of there's a very beautiful oil painting. I forget the name of the painting, but it's got the painting of it. Um, and even if it's a kind of regalia or some might argue a kind of propaganda, it it creates a for a unifying principle for people, a banner for people to gather around for these ideals that a people driven system where the people have the power to elect representatives and aspire to participate in the Senate and then debate the topics, the lobbying, lobbyists, the guys who corrupt the system by huge payments to bend things towards the will of industry and corporations. That really was one of the holes in the hull of the ship that has been a huge concomitant to keeping it all above board. The Some of the really nasty corruption we see coming out with this current situation, right? This current administration is despicable and shameful. It should in no way be tolerated. It breaks the heart of any American that has a sense of a meritocracy and meritorious behavior. And when so many great men gave their lives, shed their blood, watched brothers and at the time, I mean, almost entirely men. Women were never driven into military. They didn't engage in military service until very recently. But they also suffered loss, being mothers, wives, and daughters of men who swore an allegiance to protect the Constitution from enemies, both foreign and domestic. These days, really, it's the enemy, the domestic enemy, the internal enemy that has become the biggest threat to American freedom, to the American Republic. They always talk about democracy on the um, legacy media, but that's not what it is. It's the republic, and it's a republic that spans back. really to the time of Rome and before the time of Rome. Pax Americana. It's the greatest idea, really. I mean, why do it? Why do anything? Why win the battle? Why fight the revolution? Why engage in any of that kind of behavior unless it's to provide an equal footing for every man, woman, and child on earth? That was the drive. There can only be one flag flying high. There's only one that represents those ideals, and it is the great flag of the United States of America. Whether or not there's bad guys in there now causing trouble, that doesn't matter. That flag and that Constitution and the Bill of Rights, they represent ideas that far supersede these individual troublemakers. Those folks are shameful and should be brought to justice. But the ideals, the ideology, and the system of governance, self-governance that backs it, and the spirit of the thing, and God, and it will they'll ring on into the abodes of the future forever and ever. Greatest experiment ever conducted. The experiment of freedom, human freedom, and the right to pursue that freedom, and the responsibility that comes along with it. It's a great day for America, guys. Happy 4th of July, 2023. I hope everyone is doing well out in Happy Land. God bless America. God bless all of you. And I wish you well on this most glorious day for the American people. May freedom ring forever and ever, man. Until next time, guys, please hit the thumbs up. Happy 4th of July, and I'll see you on the next video. Until then, bye for now.